when the Khalaxians attacked a human research station harboring refugee children from their previous conquests, they learned a devastating lesson. Humans don't just fight wars, they become living weapons when protecting the innocent. The Khalaxian warships sliced through the void near Europa, their crystalline hulls refracting Jupiter's distant light like frozen rainbows of death. Inside Europa Research Station, Thyra Novak watched the approaching fleet through the quantum imaging array, her cybernetic eye whirring as it calculated trajectories. Her organic eye fixed on the sleeping quarters feed, where 300 children from 17 different worlds lay in cryostasis, refugees from planets the Khalaxians had already stripped bare. "They found us," she transmitted through her neural link, her augmented synapses firing with military precision that would have surprised their alien observers. The station's research equipment hummed to life, though not for any scientific purpose the Khalaxians could imagine. Deep within the facility, quantum computers disguised as atmospheric processors began spinning up their combat protocols. "Admiral Blackthorne, we have company." Through the station's external sensors, Thyra counted 37 Khalaxian dreadnoughts, their crystalline forms arranging themselves in a siege pattern. The aliens had brought enough firepower to crack a small moon. Clearly, they weren't taking chances with what they thought was a simple research facility. Lieutenant Commander Zara Voss appeared at Thyra's side, her dark skin reflecting the emergency lights that had begun pulsing silently through the station. "Status of the children?" she asked, her voice carrying the artificial calm of someone with military-grade emotional regulators. "Cryopods are secure," Thyra responded, her augmented fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Contingency protocols Theta through Omega are standing by. They have no idea what they're walking into." She allowed herself a grim smile as the station's true defensive systems began their silent activation sequence. "The last transmission we intercepted suggests they think we're housing some kind of biological weapons research facility." "They're not entirely wrong," Zara remarked, watching as the first Khalaxian energy signatures began powering up their weapons. "We are protecting humanity's most potent biological weapon, our future." The first Khalaxian transmission cut through their comms. "Surrender your research facility and its contents immediately. You harbor fugitives from rightful Khalaxian purification. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Thyra's artificial eye glowed a deep crimson as she initiated the Guardian Protocol. Beneath Europa's icy surface, something ancient and terrible began to stir. "Admiral Blackthorne," she transmitted, "the children are secure. You have permission to show them why humans were never meant to be underestimated." The response came not from the Earth Defense Fleet the galaxy knew about, but from something far more primal. As the first Khalaxian weapons powered up, the ice beneath their ships began to crack, and humanity's true face prepared to reveal itself. 3 kilometers beneath Europa's ice, in a chamber that officially didn't exist, Admiral Blackthorne stood before a wall of quantum displays. The obsidian chamber, as his crew called it, hummed with barely contained power. Each display showed a different angle of the Khalaxian fleet positioning themselves around what they thought was a simple research station. Through his neural interface, Blackthorne felt every vibration of Europa's ice sheet, every quantum fluctuation in the station's defensive grid. The aliens had brought 37 dreadnoughts, each capable of cracking a small moon. They expected to find scientists and children. Instead, they'd stumbled into the maw of a sleeping giant. "Guardian Protocol status?" he asked, his enhanced voice carrying the weight of 2 decades of preparation. The chamber's AI responded by painting the air with crystalline holograms, each showing different aspects of humanity's best-kept secret. Commander Estrella Vale stepped forward, the silver threads in her midnight hair catching the light, a visible mark of the Guardian Protocol's first generation of enhancements. "All systems are primed, Admiral. Quantum shields are at full capacity, and the children are secure in phase-shifted stasis." Her augmented eyes flickered with streams of tactical data. "Dr. Novak has initiated the preliminary defense grid. The Khalaxians still think they're looking at research equipment." Blackthorne allowed himself a grim smile. 25 years of playing the eager student. 25 years of accepting their superior technology. Of thanking them for scraps while we built this. He gestured to the walls, which shimmered and turned transparent, revealing rows upon rows of synchronization chambers. Within each, a Guardian-class operator floated in quantum suspension, their enhanced bodies and minds merged with Europa's defense systems. They're expanding their siege pattern, Estrella reported, her own neural enhancements processing the tactical feed. Standard Khalaxian extermination formation. They expect minimal resistance. The galaxy forgot something fundamental about humans, Blackthorne said. Neural tendrils of light extending from his fingertips as he connected to the command interface. We didn't just evolve to fight wars. We evolved to protect our young. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed in response to his fury. Every human culture has legends of guardians, of protectors who become something more than human when defending the innocent. The Khalaxians are about to learn why. Above them, the alien fleet began their intimidation protocol, charging weapons designed to shatter planetary crusts. They expected surrender. They expected fear. What they got was silence. The deadly silence of a predator preparing to spring. Initiate full Guardian protocol, Blackthorne commanded. The chamber's walls resonated with quantum energy as hundreds of enhanced humans synchronized with Europa's defense grid. Each operator was a parent, a guardian who had volunteered to become something more than human to protect the next generation. Their bodies were augmented with technology the Khalaxians couldn't comprehend, their minds linked to defensive systems that defied known physics. The ice of Europa began to sing with harmonic resonance as humanity's true capabilities awakened. Not the primitive shields and outdated weapons they'd shown the galaxy, but defenses born from millennia of protecting their own, enhanced by quantum science that had been hidden from prying eyes. Through it all, Admiral Blackthorne stood motionless in the heart of the obsidian chamber, his enhanced mind connected to every system, every operator, every layer of humanity's most sophisticated defensive network. The Khalaxians had come to hunt children. Instead, they'd roused their guardians. And guardians, unlike warriors, don't fight to win. They fight to protect. 25 years earlier, beneath the Olympus Mons research complex on Mars, Dr. Thyra Novak had stood before the first Guardian-class enhancement chamber. Her natural eye studied the quantum crystalline structure while her prototype Cybernetic 1 processed streams of data that would have overwhelmed an unaugmented human mind. Beautiful, isn't she? The voice belonged to then Captain Raiden Blackthorne, though he hadn't yet received his own enhancements. He approached the chamber, running his hand along its surface. The Khalaxians think we're still struggling with basic neural interfaces. They actually offered to help us develop crude biomechanical implants last week. Thyra allowed herself a small smile, remembering how she'd stammered and fumbled through that meeting, playing the part of an overwhelmed scientist grateful for alien guidance. All while wearing neural augmentation technology centuries beyond anything the Khalaxians possessed, carefully masked by quantum camouflage. The greatest deception, she said, adjusting calculations on her holographic display, wasn't hiding our technology, Captain. It was hiding our nature. She brought up footage from the first Khalaxian bombardment of the Centauri colonies. They think they understand violence, domination, conquest, but they don't understand protection. The memory shifted to 6 months after first contact. Thyra stood in the Europa facility's original construction site, presenting to Earth's combined military and scientific leadership. Humanity has something none of the alien species we've encountered possess, she had told them, displaying psychological profiles of various galactic civilizations. We never evolved past our protective instincts. We refined them. Back in the present, beneath Europa's ice, those refined instincts were about to be unveiled. The station's true form began to emerge as layers of quantum camouflage peeled away. What had appeared to be environmental research equipment revealed themselves as weapon systems beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Atmospheric processors transformed into shield generators that bent reality itself. Geological survey devices became targeting systems that could track objects through dimensions the Khalaxians hadn't even discovered. But the true deception lay in the nature of the Guardian Protocol itself. The Khalaxians, like most advanced species, had abandoned biological enhancement in favor of pure mechanical augmentation. They thought themselves above the messy, unpredictable nature of organic evolution. Humanity had gone the opposite route. The Guardian Protocol didn't replace human instincts, it amplified them. Each operator's neural pattern was synchronized with quantum processors that enhanced, rather than suppressed, their protective drives. They weren't coldly logical machines. They were something far more dangerous, perfectly rational beings driven by an unstoppable need to protect. We played our part well. Commander Astria Vale's voice cut through Thyra's memories. She stood watching the Khalaxian fleet through the quantum imaging array, her enhanced mind processing their tactical patterns. Every time they offered us advanced technology, we acted suitably impressed. Every time they demonstrated their superior weapons, we showed appropriate fear. The Khalaxians believe in evolution through conquest, Thyra replied, her artificial eye glowing as she initiated another layer of the station's transformation. They never considered evolution through protection, never understood that a species' greatest advances come not from the need to destroy, but the need to preserve. Around them, Europa Research Station continued its metamorphosis. Quantum fields shifted, revealing weapon emplacements disguised as scientific equipment. Defensive systems hidden beneath layers of false data awakened. The entire facility, built under the guise of a civilian research station, unveiled itself as humanity's ultimate expression of protective fury. They had spent 25 years preparing for this moment, not training warriors, but creating guardians, not building weapons of war, but systems of protection. The Khalaxians had come expecting to find humans hiding behind primitive shields and outdated weapons. Instead, they were about to face the full force of a species that had turned its most primal protective instincts into an art form of technological advancement. The deception was complete. The Guardians were awake, and the Khalaxians were about to learn why every human culture had legends of those who protected the innocent, and why those legends always ended with the aggressor's defeat. The Khalaxian High Commander's hologram materialized in Europa Station's communication hub, its crystalline form towering over the human representatives. Dr. Thyra Novak stood before it, still wearing her researcher's garb, playing her role one final time. Behind her, through quantum-shielded windows, the refugee children slept in their stasis pods, each one carrying genetic memories of worlds the Khalaxians had already destroyed. "Your deception ends here, human." The High Commander's translated voice rippled through the chamber. "We know these children are not simple refugees. They carry within them the biological markers of races we cleansed, races that refuse to accept our guidance, our evolution." Thyra felt her neural augmentations responding to her rising anger, quantum processors channeling her protective instincts rather than suppressing them. The children behind her weren't just refugees. They were the last survivors of 17 species the Khalaxians had cleansed in their march across the galaxy. Each child carried within their DNA the complete genetic and cultural heritage of their people, preserved through technology the Khalaxians couldn't comprehend. "You are right about one thing," Thyra responded, her artificial eye shifting from scientific blue to combat red. "These children are not simple refugees. They're something you couldn't possibly understand." Her body began to change as combat protocols activated, quantum-enhanced muscles shifting beneath her skin. "Their innocence. And we are their guardians." The High Commander's crystalline form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Guardian, you? We've watched your species fumble with basic technology for decades. Your weapons are primitive, your shields laughable. You are nothing but caretakers playing at." The alien's voice cut off as Thyra's form blurred with impossible speed. In the space between moments, her researcher's garb shimmered and transformed, revealing combat armor that seemed to drink in light itself. Her cybernetic eye now blazed with targeting data, neural laces extending from her body to interface directly with the station's defense grid. "You made 3 mistakes," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the alien hologram distort. "First, you assumed our technological development matched our public face. Second, you thought our protective instincts were a weakness to exploit." She smiled, and there was nothing human in it. "But your fatal error? You threatened children under human protection." The High Commander's crystalline form shifted in what might have been concern. "What are you?" Around them, the research station's walls began to transform, quantum camouflage peeling away to reveal weapon systems that shouldn't have existed. Through the windows, the sleeping children remained peaceful, unaware of the guardian angels preparing to unleash hell in their defense. "We are what we've always been," Thyra answered, her augmentations now fully visible, a perfect synthesis of human protective instinct and quantum technology. "We are the ones who watched you destroy worlds while building the means to stop you. We are the ones who took in the children you orphaned, preserved the cultures you tried to erase, and prepared for this very moment." The station's transformation accelerated, and through their quantum link, Thyra felt Admiral Blackthorne and the other Guardians rising to full combat readiness. The High Commander's hologram took an involuntary step back, as readings it couldn't possibly be seeing flooded its sensors. Last chance. Thyra offered, humanity's true face finally unveiled. Withdraw your fleet. Leave these children to our protection. Or learn why every human culture has legends of what happens to those who harm the innocent under our care. The High Commander's response was to cut the transmission. In the silence that followed, Thyra turned to look at the sleeping children, at the future she had sworn to protect. Her transformation was complete. No longer just a scientist playing a role, but a guardian ready to demonstrate exactly what human protective instincts could do when amplified by quantum technology, and a righteous cause. The Khalaxian fleet opened fire without warning, their crystalline weapons unleashing enough energy to shatter a small moon. Europa's surface lit up like a second sun as the barrage approached. In the quantum-shielded observation deck, Dr. Thyra Novak watched with her enhanced senses as time seemed to slow, combat protocols flooding her system with tactical data. Guardian Protocol, full activation. Her voice carried through the neural network, reaching every enhanced human in the facility. They want to see what we're capable of. Let's show them what happens when you threaten children under human protection. The station's response defied everything the Khalaxians thought they knew about human capabilities. The incoming energy barrage, simply, ceased to exist, absorbed by quantum fields that hadn't been there seconds before. Around the station, Europa's ice began to glow with patterns that pulsed in time with the heartbeats of 300 sleeping children. In the obsidian chamber, Admiral Blackthorne's consciousness merged with the station's defense grid. Each Guardian operator connected to their designated systems, their enhanced minds working in perfect synchronization. They weren't just defending the station, they were becoming it, their protective instincts amplified by quantum technology to encompass every cubic centimeter of space around Europa. The first true demonstration of human power came not as a counterattack, but as a shield. When the Khalaxians fired their second volley, the shots didn't just disappear, they were caught, held, and transformed. The energy meant for destruction was channeled through the quantum grid, converted by technology that turned aggressive force into protective power. Impossible. The Khalaxian tactical officer's transmission leaked through their encrypted channels. Their shields aren't just blocking our attacks. They're using our own weapons to protect themselves. Commander Estrella Vale's voice carried through the neural net, calm and deadly. Humanity's greatest advances never came from the need to destroy. Her consciousness guided a web of quantum fields that began to expand from the station. They came from the need to protect. The Khalaxian fleet found their ships suddenly encased in shells of pure quantum energy, each vessel trapped in a bubble of spacetime that bent light itself. Their weapons continued to fire, but each shot was caught, transformed, and added to the protective barrier around the station. The more they attacked, the stronger humanity's defenses became. Through it all, Dr. Novak stood in the observation deck, her enhanced form a bridge between the sleeping children and the station's defense systems. Each burst of enemy fire triggered not just technological responses, but waves of pure protective fury channeled through quantum processors. The station wasn't just defending, it was adapting, evolving, becoming a manifestation of humanity's most primal instinct, the need to protect their young. Their ships are attempting to phase shift, one of the Guardian operators reported through the neural net. They're trying to bypass our outer defenses. Thyra's artificial eye blazed as she accessed deeper layers of the station's capabilities. Let them come, she commanded. Show them what happens when they enter our domain. The Khalaxian phase shift drove their ships into a dimension they thought would let them bypass human defenses. Instead, they found themselves in a realm humanity had prepared long ago. Here, in the spaces between conventional reality, geometric patterns of pure quantum energy waited like webs for precisely this moment. We studied every tactic you've ever used. Thyra's voice reached the Khalaxian command ships through their own supposedly secure channels. Every dimension you've discovered, every weapon you've developed, and we built our defenses not just in normal space, but in every realm you might try to use against us. The station's transformation was complete now, its true form revealed as a quantum fortress that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Each layer of defense was powered not just by advanced technology, but by the synchronized protective instincts of hundreds of enhanced humans, all focused on one sacred purpose: ensuring that no harm would come to the children under their care. The battle had begun, but it wouldn't be fought with simple weapons and shields. This would be a demonstration of what happens when human protective instincts are amplified by quantum technology and driven by a cause that transcended simple victory or defeat. The quantum realm surrounding Europa erupted into impossible geometries as the station's full defensive capabilities awaken. Hundreds of enhanced human minds, synchronized through the Guardian Protocol, wove protective fields that existed in dimensions the Khalaxians hadn't even discovered. Each shield pattern reflected not just advanced technology, but the very essence of human protective instincts, translated into quantum equations. In the heart of the obsidian chamber, Admiral Blackthorne's consciousness expanded through the neural network, touching every aspect of their defense systems. Through enhanced senses, he watched the Khalaxian fleet's desperate attempts to breach their defenses become part of those very defenses, their attacks absorbed and transformed by quantum processors that had been waiting decades for this moment. By the eternal void, the Khalaxian High Commander's transmission cut through their secured channels, voice trembling with dawning comprehension. What manner of beings are you? These defense patterns, they're not just technological, they're alive. Through the quantum imaging array, Commander Estrella Vale tracked the ripples of realization spreading through the enemy fleet. Their sensors, finally calibrated to perceive what they faced, revealed the true nature of Europa Station. It wasn't just a fortress, it was a living shield, powered by the focused protective instincts of enhanced humans who had evolved beyond anything the galaxy had imagined possible. You never understood what you were seeing, Estrella responded, her enhanced voice carrying harmonics that made Khalaxian crystals resonate. When we accepted your advanced technology, when we showed appropriate awe at your weapons, we were studying you, learning every frequency, every pattern, every dimension you might use against us. The station's outer layers began to shift, quantum fields folding through dimensions in ways that made space itself shudder. Khalaxian weapons, designed to shatter planetary crusts, found their energy redirected through paths that turned destructive force into protective power. The more they attacked, the stronger the defensive fields became. Dr. Thyra Novak's consciousness flowed through the neural network, her enhanced mind processing data from 1,000 quantum sensors. Each attempted breach by the Khalaxian fleet revealed new patterns, new frequencies that were immediately analyzed, adapted to, and incorporated into their defenses. The station wasn't just defending, it was evolving, learning, becoming something even its creators hadn't fully envisioned. Their flagship is attempting a quantum cascade overload, one of the Guardian operators reported through the neural net. They're trying to tear apart the fabric of space itself. Thyra's response came not as words, but as pure intention, channeled through quantum processors that translated human protective instincts into physical law. The space around the Khalaxian fleet began to crystallize, not with their familiar mineral patterns, but with geometric forms that represented the mathematics of pure protection. Impossible. The Khalaxian science officer's transmission leaked through their failing encryption. These patterns, they're expressing emotional algorithms through quantum geometry. They've turned their protective instincts into a fundamental force. The transformation reached its apex as Europa Station revealed its final form. The quantum shields weren't just barriers, they were expressions of humanity's deepest nature, the need to protect translated into physical law through technology that had evolved alongside those very instincts. Each layer of defense carried within it the emotional resonance of parents protecting their young, of guardians standing between innocence and harm. You thought our technological development matched our public face. Admiral Blackthorne's voice reached every Khalaxian ship. You thought our protective instincts were a weakness to exploit. Instead, you forced us to show you what happens when humanity channels its most primal drive through quantum technology that evolved to amplify rather than replace it. The station now existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, its defenses powered not just by advanced technology, but by the focused will of hundreds of enhanced humans, all unified in a single purpose, ensuring that no harm would come to the children under their protection. The Khalaxian fleet found themselves facing not just superior technology, but the full expression of a species that had turned its protective nature into an art form of defense. The space around Europa had become a quantum tapestry of interwoven defensive fields, each pattern pulsing with the combined protective will of hundreds of enhanced humans. The Khalaxian fleet hung motionless within this geometric web, their most powerful weapons rendered not just useless, but transformed into additions to humanity's protective sphere. Admiral Blackthorne's consciousness expanded through the neural network one final time, his enhanced voice carrying to every Khalaxian ship. You came here expecting to find helpless researchers and frightened children. Instead, you found what humanity becomes when protecting its most precious charges. Through quantum sensors, he watched realization ripple through the alien fleet. Their scans finally penetrated layers of deception maintained for decades, revealing technology that shouldn't exist for centuries. But more than that, they saw something their species had forgotten was possible: the marriage of advanced technology with primal protective instincts. Your entire military philosophy is based on domination through superior force, Dr. Thyra Novak's voice joined Blackthorne's. Her consciousness merged with the station's defensive grid. You never considered that true power might come from the need to protect rather than destroy. The station's quantum fields shifted, creating a corridor through the defensive web. It was both an escape route and a demonstration, showing the Khalaxians that humans could have destroyed them at any point, but chose not to. Here is our ultimatum, Blackthorne declared. You will withdraw your fleet. You will acknowledge Earth as the protector of all refugee species in this sector. And you will understand that every human colony, every settlement, every research station now stands under the same protection you witness today. Through the neural network, Commander Estrella Vale sensed the Khalaxian High Commander's mounting horror as their sensors revealed more layers of human capability. The aliens finally understood that they hadn't discovered a primitive species. They had awakened guardians who had been watching, waiting, and preparing for this moment. Choose carefully, Blackthorne concluded. You can leave here as witnesses to humanity's true nature, or as examples of what happens when you threaten those under our protection. Either way, the galaxy will learn what it means to face a species that evolved not just to fight, but to defend. The quantum corridor remained open, a path between destruction and understanding. In that moment, the Khalaxians faced not just advanced technology, but a fundamental truth about humanity. Their greatest strength lay not in their ability to destroy, but in their unwavering commitment to protect. One standard galactic year after the Europa incident, Khalaxian Ambassador Vex stood before the Interstellar Council, delivering his species' formal assessment of humanity's emergence as a protective force in known space. The crystalline being's form rippled with colors that indicated deep respect tinged with lingering awe. We misunderstood humanity on the most fundamental level, Vex addressed the assembled representatives. We saw their protective instincts as primitive, their acceptance of refugees as weakness. In doing so, we failed to recognize that they had evolved along a different path, not through conquest, but through preservation. The chamber's holographic displays showed the transformation of former battle zones. Where there had been conflict, research stations now flourished. The refugee children from Europa Station had awakened to find themselves not just protected, but part of a new initiative to preserve and restore their lost civilizations. Humanity's greatest deception, Vex continued, his crystalline form shimmering with complex emotions, wasn't in hiding their technological advancement. It was in showing us exactly what they were, while letting us believe we were seeing weakness. Every human legend speaks of guardians, of protective forces that arise when innocents are threatened. We thought these were primitive myths. Instead, they were warnings. Through the quantum feed, Dr. Thyra Novak watched the transmission from Europa Station, now officially recognized as humanity's first guardian sanctuary. Beside her, Admiral Blackthorne and Commander Vale observed as their decades-long deception gave way to a new galactic order, one where humanity's role was not to conquer or compete, but to protect and preserve. The galaxy now understands, Vex concluded, that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the commitment to protect. Humanity didn't just advance technologically, they evolved emotionally, turning their most primal instincts into their greatest strength. They remind us all of what we once were, and what we might become again. In the quantum-shielded creche of Europa Station, 300 children from 17 species slept peacefully, guarded by beings who had turned protective instinct into an art form. They were more than survivors now. They were seeds of hope, protected by a species that had proven itself worthy of the title. Guardians of the Galaxy.